Blue Ribbon Committee recommends the abolition of the DBM's procurement service over the fiasco on pricey laptops. The Customs Bureau is not filing charges against the flight attendants who brought back onions from overseas. And the Philippine delegation in Davos makes last-minute pitches to investors as the World Economic Forum winds down. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee recommends the filing of graft and perjury charges against some former and current officials of the Education Department and the Budget Department's procurement service. This is still over the issue or purchase of overpriced laptops meant for public school teachers. Facing possible charges are former DepEd Undersecretary Elaine Pascua, Undersecretary Annalyn Sevilla, former Assistant Secretary Salvador Malana, former PSDBM Executive Director Lloyd Christopher Lau, along with several other officials. The Senate committee also recommends the abolition of the PSDBM, leaving it up to the state agencies to conduct their own procurement. Lawmakers likewise want the 979 million pesos spent on the pricey laptops recovered. The Education Department will consider the Senate's recommendation to file cases against its officials on the purchase of overpriced laptops for teachers. DepEd spokesman Michael Poa says that administrative cases or case proceedings have been ongoing even before the Senate Blue Ribbon released its report. He added that those involved have already been asked to submit their position papers on the matter. Moving on to other news, the Customs Bureau is not filing charges against the flight crew who earlier brought into the country undeclared goods, including onions. DOC spokesperson Arnoldo de la Torre said they will only confiscate the items. While they understand criticism from the senators over the confiscation, the customs official reiterated that permits are necessary when taking home goods from overseas. More stories coming your way after this quick break. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. President Bongbong Marcos only has 1 day left in Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. To give us the latest, we have Gerard de la Peña joining us live from Bern in Switzerland. Hi Gerard, how is the President and the rest of the contingent doing there at the WEF?
Well, Sean, we are at the tail end of the participation of the Philippine delegation at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. And the President was present in so many engagements there where they discussed a number of issues such as the South China Sea as well as some things about the foreign policy.
I have seen you already
The Philippine delegation schedule on the third day of the World Economic Forum was quite hectic. In a dialogue with WEF President Broge Brend, President Bongbong Marcos revealed how his foreign policy would be like for the rest of his term. In his previous speaking engagements throughout his 3-day participation at the WEF, PBBM mentioned that countries like the Philippines should not be made to take sides, and that applies on the issue of the South China Sea. That same principle is apparently true as well when it comes to his foreign policy.
So when asked which side are you on, I said, well, I don't work for Beijing. I don't work for Washington, D.C. I work for the Philippines. So I'm on the side of the Philippines. And that really translates into a very simple statement of foreign policy, which is I promote the national interest.
He also bared how he and his family felt being in exile for 6 years after his father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., was ousted by a people's revolt in 1986.
We were in exile for 6 years, so we weren't sure if we were coming back at all, physically coming back. My father never made it back. He died in Hawaii. So that, yes, that was a very trying time. Those were dark days for the family, and I dare say even for the country.
The President also sat in a high-level dialogue on investing in infrastructure resilience, where he shared the government's push for infrastructure spending, which, in effect, can mitigate the impact of natural disasters and climate change.
It is our top priority to design and build climate-resilient infrastructure, programs, and projects. We have allocated 9% of our national budget towards initiatives to support conservation, climate change adaptation, and disaster risk reduction. I have committed to work to increase this figure to an average of 15% annually.
Cabinet members also met with various business leaders, a number of whom expressed intent to invest in the Philippines. The economic team said that they were able to get commitments from 9 companies in the fields of transportation, mining, finance, and logistics, among others. One of them is U.S. banking giant Morgan Stanley, who has plans of setting up shop in the Philippines, as well as the logistics firm DP World, which expressed its intent to build an industrial park in Pampanga.
Ang purpose talaga nito is to sell the country. Nasaan tayo, ganun. Kasi kaya very timely itong pag-participate natin sa Davos conference na ito. Unang-una kasi 3 taon silang sarado, di ba? So first time na face-to-face. And secondly, we have a very nice story to tell, yung anong sitwasyon natin after the pandemic.
In the process, we were able to get expressions of a specific interest. So I think that's the more important thing, that we are now better known by people who make decisions on investments.
While the pledges can still increase, with some cabinet members working on potential investors until January 20, the talks are merely exploratory. Members of the Philippine delegation were able to speak to a lot of government and business leaders at the World Economic Forum here in Davos, Switzerland. But they admit that it would take time before ordinary Filipinos can feel the effects and the impact of these talks. Cabinet members said investors are taking note of political stability, strong macroeconomic fundamentals despite the global economic downturn, and a young workforce.
CEOs of international companies confirming what we have been claiming as our selling point, that the main important feature of the Philippines that's attracting investment is the fact that we have young, vibrant, and trainable workforce with median age of 23 plus. I'm happy about that confirmation, and also their confirmation that our people, we and our young workers are very optimistic in their work and very good attitude towards work. That's a good confirmation. And also, we got the feedback that from their point of view, comparing the Philippines with other countries in the region, we're quite ahead in our adoption of the digital technology.
Ang isa pang factor na gusto rin nila is yung predictability ng policy.
So yung sustainability ang kinakailangang yan din ang sinasabi ng mga investors kanina actually. Yung gusto nila makita yung sustainability, predictability, transparency, ano yung long-term natin, long-term game plan. Kasi kapag mag-invest sila ng highway, 50 years yun, they wanted to ensure that that our economy, can stand a long-term growth for 50 years or more.
Sean, today is probably the last day of the participation of the Philippine delegation here in Switzerland. And today, some cabinet members are having some bilateral meetings with various groups. And the president is also having some private meetings in Davos. And tomorrow, the president will be meeting up with the Filipino community in Switzerland, in Zurich, before he flies back home. Sean.
All right, Gerard, any idea what these bilateral meetings are between the cabinet officials and other countries' officials? And what meetings that President Marcos still has in store?
Well, one cabinet official told us yesterday that he's going to meet up with some business groups who might be interested in some infrastructure and logistics projects in the Philippines. As for the president's schedule today, we don't have any information yet as to who he is meeting today. Sean.
All right, looking forward to that information once it becomes available. Thank you so much for those updates. Reporting to us live from Bern in Switzerland, Gerard de la Peña. Thanks, Gerard. And meanwhile, local government units in Metro Manila will soon implement a single ticketing system for traffic violations. Mon Gualvez with the details.
Shuttle service driver Boyet has held onto this traffic violation ticket for 4 months after disregarding a traffic sign on Marcos Highway in Antipolo. He has to go to MMDA to pay the fine. But because of his work hours and simply the hassle, he couldn't do so.
Bali doble nawawala kasi abala, hindi ka makakapasok ng isang araw kasi kailangan mo puntahan yung kung saan ka nahuli. Tumubos ka na, hindi ka pa nakapasok.
Grab driver Rodel shares this sentiment whenever he gets caught over a traffic violation.
Mas mahirap yung iba-iba yung policy ng mga LGU. Kasi for example, nandito ka sa Mandaluyong, tapos napunta ka sa Las Piñas, tapos nahuli ka doon. So kung nandito yung work mo, kailangan mo pang maglaan ng time para pumunta sa place kung saan ka nahuli.
These concerns push the Metro Manila Council and other transport agencies to create a Metro Manila traffic road and single ticketing system for the whole NCR.
With this integration and interconnectivity between LTO and LGUs, pag nahuli ka, hindi ko kumpiskahin yung lisensya mo. It is very, very beneficial sa ating mga motorista, itong single ticketing. At hindi na rin magkakaiba yung penalty. So hindi ka namang huhula magkano ba ang penalty sa Makati, magkano sa Pateros, magkano sa Caloocan.
The technical working group earlier approved the proposed Metro Manila Traffic Code where the 20 most often committed traffic violations are indicated. These include disregarding traffic sign, illegal parking, violation of the number coding, and the truck and tricycle ban, reckless driving, obstruction, and non-compliance with the dress code for motorcycle riders. Once the single ticketing system is imposed, some local government units will be forced to adjust penalties for traffic violations. In San Juan City, the previous 1,000 peso fee for violating the number coding scheme be down to 500 pesos if the system is approved.
Pumayag kaming ibaba ang mga multa nito para nga magkaroon ng standardized fines sa Metro Manila. Here in San Juan, the fines will actually go lower just to harmonize the fines all over Metro Manila.
MMDA will shoulder the cost for the hard drive and IT requirements of the single ticketing system. It's not affected by the temporary restraining order issued against the No Contact Apprehension Policy or NCAP, which is also under the Metro Manila Traffic Code.
even without the Supreme Court decision, we can implement naman. It's just that yung NCAP aspect nitong integration and ticketing, yun ang magiging suspended pending decision.
The MMDA plans to implement the single ticketing system during the first quarter of 2023 or the first week of April once it gets the go signal from all Metro Manila mayors. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
And for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I am Sean Yao. We are One News. All sides, all the time.